Have you ever noticed that the harder we try to fix something, the more it seems to break? I mean, think about it. We widen a highway to solve traffic, and a couple years later, the jams are somehow even worse. We invent all these amazing productivity tools to save time, and suddenly we're all working 10 more hours a week just to keep our heads above water.
It definitely feels like running on a treadmill. Think you're making progress, but you're just exhausting yourself in the exact same spot. It's so frustrating because the intention is good. You're trying to solve the problem.
Exactly. And the usual response when that fix fails is, well, we just didn't try hard enough,
Right.
or we didn't have the right person in charge.
Yes. We tell ourselves, if we just get better data or, elect a smarter politician or hire a more ruthless CEO, then the problem will finally go away. But what if the problem isn't the people? What if the problem is the way we see the problem?
So you're suggesting our intuition itself is broken, our basic common sense about cause and effect. I'm suggesting our intuition is, well, it's linear. But the world we live in is profoundly nonlinear. We look at the world like a mechanic looks at a car engine.
Okay, if it rattles, you find the loose bolt and tighten it?
Right. If a part's broken, you swap it out. But the world isn't a machine. It's a web. It's a living, breathing, tangled mess of connections. And today, we're going to explore why our solutions are so often the real source of our problems. We're doing a deep dive into the absolute Bible of this way of thinking, Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows, and this is brought to you by the channel Nonfiction Insights.
I'm really glad we're tackling this one. Meadows is, she's legendary in certain circles. She was an environmental scientist, wasn't she? But this book, it's gone way beyond that. I see software engineers, economists, even military strategists quoting it all the time.
Because it's a manual for reality itself. Meadows realized that whether you're looking at a forest or a global supply chain or a family dynamic, they all play by the same hidden rules. And the scariest rule she found, the one that really keeps me up at night, is this. The disasters we see, the market crashes, the addiction relapses, the gridlock, they aren't accidents. The system is behaving exactly as it was designed to behave.
That's a heavy statement.
Yeah.
You're saying a traffic jam is a designed outcome. That sounds almost conspiratorial.
It's not a conspiracy, it's a structural inevitability. And that is the core tension for today. It's this battle between the mechanic and the gardener.
The mechanic versus the gardener.
Between trying to force the world to obey you and learning to dance with the system as it actually is.
Okay, dancing with the system. I get the poetry of it, but let's be realistic for a minute. If I'm a mayor and there's a huge crash on Main Street every single Tuesday, I can't just dance. I have to act.
You have to send an ambulance.
I send an ambulance, I clear the wreckage, that's my job. If I don't, people get hurt.
And you're right, you have to do that. That emergency response is vital. But you haven't solved anything, you've just reset the stage for the next crash. Meadows would call this operating at the event level. It's the shallowest way to see the world. Imagine an iceberg.
All right, I'm picturing it just the tip sticking out of the water.
That tip, that's events. The crash on Main Street, the stock market dropping 500 points, the argument you had with your partner last night. This is where the news lives. It's the constant stream of noise on our social media feeds.
And that's where most of us spend all our mental energy, just firefighting, reacting to one event after another.
Precisely. We are obsessed with the visible symptoms. But systems thinking, it asks you to put on your scuba gear and go underwater. Just below the surface, you find patterns.
Okay, so in the car crash example, the pattern would be noticing it happens every Tuesday morning.
At 8 a.m., right. Now you're not just reacting, you're anticipating. You can put a police car there at 7.55. That's a bit better. But why? Why is that pattern happening? To answer that, you have to go deeper still to the structure.
And what does structure mean here? The physical road itself.
It's the physical road, yes, but it's also all the invisible stuff. The traffic laws, the timing of the lights, the economic incentives that force everyone to commute at the exact same time.
The zoning laws that put all the jobs downtown and all the affordable houses 20 miles out.
That's all part of the structure. It's the web of feedback loops and relationships that cause the pattern to emerge.
So the structure causes the pattern, which creates the event.
Yes, but there's one last layer. The absolute base of the iceberg, the foundation for everything else, mental models.
And beliefs.
The deep, unquestioned assumptions that created the structure in the first place. You know, the belief that mobility equals freedom, or that faster is always better, or that suburbs are superior to density.
That's a huge jump from just clearing a car wreck.
It is. But here's the kicker. The mechanic, the linear thinker, obsesses over events. fix the wreck. But the gardener, the systems thinker, obsesses over structure and mental models because they know that's where the real leverage is. If you only ever deal with events, you're just debugging the screen while the operating system is corrupted. You're fighting a war you can never, ever win.
I get the theory, but let's make it more concrete. Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people feel like they are looking at the structure of a problem, but things still go haywire. How do we really tell the difference?
Meadows has this brilliant analogy that makes it crystal clear. The slinky.
The toy. The metal spring from the 90s.
The very same. So imagine I place a metal slinky on the palm of my hand. With my other hand, I grab the top coil, I pull it up about 3 feet, and then I let go. What does it do?
Well, the top hand releases.
Yeah.
The slinky just collapses, right? It bounces up and down, oscillates for a bit, and then settles on your palm.
Right. Now, if I ask you, why is the slinky bouncing? What's your immediate intuitive answer?
I'd say it's because you pulled it up and let it go. Your hand created the motion. You caused it.
And that right there, that is the linear trap. You blamed the external actor, my hand. But what if I did the exact same motion with, say, a block of wood? Lifted it 3 feet and let go. Would it bounce?
No, it would just thud.
Exactly. So the bouncing didn't come from my hand. The bouncing came from the structure of the slinky. It's a coil. It is physically designed to oscillate in response to an input. My hand was just the trigger. The slinky structure determined its behavior.
That's a really subtle shift, but it's a huge one. We go around blaming the hand of the specific politician, the greedy CEO, the bad driver.
When we should be looking at the coil, we blame the player when the game itself is rigged to produce that exact outcome. You can fire the CEO, you can elect a new president, but if you put a new person into the same broken system, the same structural coil, you're going to get the same bounce.
This explains why so many smart solutions backfire. We treat the system like it's a block of wood. We think if we push it, it'll move an inch in that direction.
But it's a slinky. We push it, and it springs back and hits us in the face.
That springing back must be a common pattern.
It has a name. Meadows calls it policy resistance. And once you see it everywhere. It's the reason why so many well-intentioned fixes fail.
Okay, walk me through a classic example. How does a system actively fight back?
Let's use something that seems completely logical. Pest control.
All right, I'm a farmer. I've got corn, and I've got bugs eating my corn. That's the event. It's a crisis.
What does the mechanic do?
I go to the store, I buy the strongest pesticide on the shelf, and I spray the entire field.
Linear logic. Spray equals death. Dead bugs means safe corn. Problem solved.
And for a little while, that's exactly what happens. The bugs die off.
They do. But you forgot you're in a complex ecosystem, not a sterile lab. You sprayed the field, you killed the pest, but you also killed the birds, the spiders, the parasitic wasps that ate the pest. You just destroyed the balancing loop, nature's own pest control.
Okay, but if the main pest is dead, I don't need the spiders anymore.
But you assume you killed all of them. You never do. You miss a few. The genetic outliers. The ones that just happen to have a slight natural resistance to your poison.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Now these superbugs look around. They have an unlimited buffet of corn. They have 0 predators because you killed them all. And they have the entire field to themselves. So what do?
They reproduce.
And because they are the sole survivors, their offspring inherit that resistance. So next season, you have more bugs. They are all immune to your old poison, and you have no natural allies left to help you out.
So I had to buy an even stronger poison.
You have to spray more, and with stronger stuff, you are now locked in a chemical arms race. The system didn't fail. The system reacted to your aggression. You pushed, and the system's feedback loops pushed back even harder.
So what was the alternative? Just let the bugs eat the corn?
No, the alternative is to be a gardener. Understand the feedback loops first. A systems thinker would ask, what keeps the bug population in check normally? Maybe you introduce more spiders. Maybe you rotate crops to break their breeding cycle. You work with the system's balancing loops instead of trying to nuke them.
That makes sense, but it's slow. And in business, in politics, speed is everything. The mantra is move fast and break things. We want real-time data to make instant adjustments.
And that leads us right into trap number 3. In a complex system with delays, speed kills.
Wait, hold on. How can speed be bad? If I'm not reacting to the market instantly, my competitors will eat my lunch.
In a simple linear race, you're right, speed wins. But in any system with built-in delays, aggressive action creates wild instability. Meadows uses the perfect analogy for this, the shower handle.
Is this the cheap hotel scenario? I think I know this one.
It is. You're in an old hotel, you turn on the shower, and the water is freezing cold.
So I turn the hot knob.
You do, but the boiler is in the basement, 4 floors down, there's a delay. That hot water has to travel all the way up the pipes. You turn the knob, but for 10 seconds the water is still cold. What does the smart interventionist in you do?
I assume I didn't turn it enough, or maybe it's stuck. So I crank it all the way to max hot.
You act aggressively based on the immediate data. You wait. And then suddenly...
Solding. I'm getting third-degree burn.
Exactly. So you panic. You yank the handle all the way back to cold. And because of the delay, nothing happens for another 10 seconds. And then...
I'm freezing again.
You are oscillating, swinging violently from one extreme to the other because you're overcorrecting based on old information. You aren't accounting for the delay. This is what happens in economies. The Fed raises rates to cool inflation. It takes 6, maybe 12 months for that to really take effect. But they don't see an immediate drop, so they raise them again and again.
But by the time the effect of the first hike finally hits, they've already pushed it 3 more times, and they slam the economy into a deep recession. They overshoot.
That's the bullwhip effect. It's the shower handle on a global scale.
So what's the answer? Don't touch the knob.
The answer is patience, which is so counterintuitive for high achievers. In a sluggish system, you have to turn the knob just a little bit, and then you have to wait. You have to let the information travel from the basement. You have to decouple your action from the immediate result.
That's an incredibly hard thing to sell. Vote for me, I'm going to make one small change, and then wait 2 years to see if it worked.
Which is why politics is a graveyard of systems failures. We demand the quick fix, we reward the person who cranks the handle, and that addiction to the quick fix leads us to the most insidious trap of all. Meadows calls it shifting the burden, or, to put it more bluntly, addiction.
Are we talking about substance addiction now, or is this another metaphor?
It's both. In systems theory, the structure of heroin addiction and the structure of corporate bailouts are functionally identical.
Okay, unpack that for me. How is a government bailout like heroin?
Look at the structure. You start with a problem symptom. Let's say for an individual, it's stress. For an industry, it's a lack of profit.
Got it.
Now, you have 2 possible paths. Path A is the fundamental solution. This is the hard work. For the individual, that's lifestyle changes, therapy, meditation. For the industry, it's innovation, restructuring, becoming more efficient.
That all sounds difficult.
Yeah.
And very slow.
It is, which is why we're so tempted by Path B, the symptomatic solution. For the individual, you have a drink. For the industry, you lobby the government for a subsidy.
The drink works a lot faster.
It works instantly. That's the hook. That's why it's so seductive. The drink calms the nerves. The subsidy fills the budget gap. The immediate pain goes away.
But the underlying problem is still there. Your life is still stressful, and the company is still inefficient.
It's actually worse than that. It's not just that the problem remains. The system itself has been weakened. By using the quick fix, the system's own ability to solve the problem starts to atrophy. If you drink every time you feel stressed, you literally forget how to calm yourself down naturally. Your own emotional regulation muscles just wither away.
And if you subsidize a failing industry every time it loses money, it stops trying to innovate. It forgets how to be competitive on its own.
Exactly. The burden of keeping the system stable has shifted from the system itself to the outside intervention. And just like the farmer with the pests, you start needing more of the intervention just to stay at baseline, more alcohol to feel normal, bigger bailouts just to keep the factories open.
And if you suddenly take that intervention away,
the whole system collapses, it goes into withdrawal, it has no internal strength left, it's become helpless. We see this with foreign aid that destroys local agriculture, with cheap debt-fueling fake growth, with caffeine just to feel awake. We are eroding our own resilience because we are addicted to the short-term fix.
You're painting a pretty bleak picture here. You're saying force backfires, speed leads to crashes, and help creates addiction. I feel like I'm backed into a corner. What's left? Are we supposed to just sit back and watch things fall apart?
No, we absolutely have to intervene. But we have to intervene in the right places. This is maybe the most famous part of Meadows' work. She created a hierarchy of 12 leverage points. Places where a small poke can create a huge change.
Okay, give me the list. Where do I start?
Well, most people start at the very bottom, the absolute least effective place. Numbers.
And numbers like budgets and taxes.
Taxes, subsidies, standards. You know, changing the minimum wage from $15 to $16, changing an interest rate by 1/4 of a point. Meadows calls this arranging the deck chairs on the Titanic.
That's a bit harsh. Those things do affect people's lives.
They do, but they don't change the fundamental behavior of the ship. If the ship is heading for an iceberg, tweaking the payroll for the crew doesn't steer it away. You're just fiddling with parameters.
Yeah.
The system absorbs the change and keeps going in the same direction.
Okay, so what's a higher leverage point than just tweaking numbers?
Feedback loops. Changing the information that the system has access to. Here's a great example. Say you want people to use less electricity. The numbers approach is to raise the price. People hate it, and they don't even see the effect until the bill comes a month later.
That's the delay problem again.
Right. But the feedback approach, you put a smart meter in their front hallway, a big, glowing red display showing in real time exactly how much money they're spending. Every time they turn on the dishwasher, that number jumps.
So they see the consequence of their action immediately.
Exactly. And studies show that just making that information visible can cut consumption by 30%. You didn't change the price, you didn't pass a new law, you just changed the flow of information. That is real leverage.
I like that. That's elegant. So what's at the very top? What's the ultimate point of leverage?
The goal of the system.
Yeah.
And just above that, the paradigm.
Explain the difference.
Every system has a goal. And it might not be the goal it claims to have. A university might say its goal is education. But if all its behavior is about chasing rankings and building stadiums and hoarding endowment money, then its real goal is something like prestige or revenue.
And the system will work tirelessly toward that real goal, no matter what the mission statement on the website says.
Tirelessly. If the goal of a national economy is defined as GDP growth, the system will consume the earth, it will destroy the climate, and it will exploit workers to make that number go up. It doesn't matter how many little regulations you pass. The system will find a way around them to achieve its goal.
So you have to change the goal itself.
If you can flip the goal of that system from growth at all costs to, say, human well-being or sustainability, the entire system will reorganize itself around that new goal. All the players, all the rules, all the feedback loops will change their behavior automatically to serve the new purpose.
But that requires changing the paradigm, the shared belief system from which the goals arise.
Yes, and that is the hardest thing in the world to do. It means admitting that our fundamental map of the world might be wrong. As Meadows said, you don't need new laws. You need a new philosophy.
That sounds inspiring, but it also sounds almost impossible. Paradigms don't shift in an election cycle, they shift over centuries.
It's hard, but it's the only thing that creates lasting change. Think about the scientific revolution, or the concept of universal human rights, or the germ theory of disease. Those weren't just new taxes. They were a fundamental rewrite of what we believed reality was. Once you accept that invisible germs cause disease, you don't need a law telling a surgeon to wash his hands. He just does it. The behavior follows the paradigm.
So we come all the way back to the mechanic versus the gardener.
We do. The mechanic looks at the traffic jam, at the pests, at the oscillating shower, and says, I will force this to work, I will apply my wrench, I will make this world obey my logic. And in doing so, they break it.
And the gardener.
The gardener looks at the garden. They know deep down they can't make a tomato plant grow by pulling on its stem.
You just rip the roots out.
Of course. You can't control the plant. You can only influence the conditions for its growth. You give it water. You make sure the soil is healthy. You look for the bad bugs, and you introduce some ladybugs to create a balancing loop. You listen to the feedback the system is giving you. You don't command. You dance with it.
It's a fundamental shift from control to maybe stewardship.
From force to feedback. We all need to upgrade our mental operating system from linear to dynamic. We have to stop trying to force the slinky straight and start learning how to shape the bounce.
That's a lot to take in. But I had to admit, looking at the state of things, the mechanics approach doesn't seem to be working out so well. Maybe it is time for a new philosophy.
It may be the only real option we have left. If you want to stop fighting reality and start working with it, you have to read Thinking in Systems. And of course, keep listening to us because we are going to keep pulling on these threads. This has been a deep dive into the hidden structure of your world.
Thanks for listening.
Upgrade your OS. Subscribe to Nonfiction Insights. We'll see you in the next loop.